Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to do a review on Tramps Like Us. This is a 14-volume josei series put out by Tokyo Pop, so it is out of print. However, not terribly difficult to find. I got this entire thing on eBay, and they're in pretty good condition, and super happy to have it. I've wanted this series for a really long time. I love josei series personally. I don't think there's enough of them that are published in English, and so I'm trying to get my hands on the ones that are. This is a series about the woman that you see on the cover. I believe she's about 26 when the series begins, and the series spans just around 2 years or so. Um, Her name is Sumire, and she works at a newspaper company or a newspaper, and she kind of gets transferred between the departments. So she works in various different departments of the newspaper throughout the series, but she's very successful, extremely kind of stoic and serious. And so everybody around her kind of sees her as this intimidating, lone wolf kind of person that they can't really approach and that they feel jealousy towards. They feel basically, yeah, she's just unapproachable to them. She's very like business focused, and so she doesn't have any friends at work. She doesn't really have any friends. She has one friend that she's been friends with since like high school or middle school or something, but not at work. And so she's quite lonely. She's not in a relationship, and she's just feeling a bit lost because she's actually a very nice person. She just can't. She has trouble like opening up to people and showing them that she's a person and not just this like business robot lady. Um, and obviously, with successful women in the workplace, you get a lot of jealousy from other women. You get a lot of, you know, um, being talked down to by men in the workplace who you may be more successful than. They feel the need to kind of tear you down, and so she's kind of dealing with all of these things. Right at the top of the series, she comes home to find a box outside her apartment containing a young man who is clearly homeless. He's very young. Now, there's some debate about how old he is. I've done somewhere within the first few volumes, she makes a joke about a 20-year-old man owning a 20-year-old man, which led me to believe that Momo, the boy you see on the cover, is 20. After doing some more research, because some people were saying he's a teenager still, I didn't think so. And so, after doing more research and finding out that she's about 26 at the beginning of the series, because she turns 29 by the end of the series. Momo is 22 by the end of the series, so if the series spans 2 years, it means he's 20 at the beginning of it. So he is not a teenager, he's not a minor, he's 20 years old. And that's assuming that the translation of this is correct and that they didn't tamper with the ages in the translation, which I don't see any reason why they would, but maybe they did. I don't know. But after doing research online and then just reading the series carefully, I'm pretty sure that Momo is 20 years old at the beginning. Um, and that takes out most of the creep factor that some people had with this, thinking that he was a teenager. Anyway, she sees him in a box outside her apartment and decides to let him in for the night. And she says, thinking he won't agree, she says, "You can stay here if you agree to be my pet." And so he immediately jumps at the opportunity to have good food because she's a wonderful cook and a place to stay. And so he begins acting like a dog. And because she names him Momo after a dog she had when she was younger, who is no longer alive. Um, but she names him Momo. He is now her pet. And so she is a 26-ish year old woman with a 20-ish year old boy as her pet. And it's the story follows her relationship with him, um, which is bizarre and obviously socially not acceptable. But she's trying to keep this a secret because she is such a professional at work, and then she is trying to date people and having them not find out about Momo because she doesn't want to give up Momo. She's gained an attachment to him that is um she tries to convince herself is only like an accompaniment thing, and that her relationship with him is like as if he was actually a dog, as opposed to a person that she is probably falling in love with, but refuses to acknowledge that because he is not her type. He's short, he's a dancer, like a does he do ballet, or he does oh, what is the word, contemporary dance, I believe is what he does. And it's just a really, really heartfelt, beautiful story about these two people who are very lost in their own ways, coming together and being what the other person needs at this point in their life. And it's frustrating to read because you're just like, just fall in love. Just fall in love, right? But they have to take this time to acknowledge where they are in their own lives, deal with the relationships outside of each other, and come to terms with how their life is gonna turn out. Uh, it's heartbreaking at points. It's a drama. It's a josei, but it's just really wonderful. It's very funny. Momo has a good sense of humor, but he's also a real person. So you get to see the story is from both of their perspectives. While Sumire is the main character, you do get times when you're following Momo around, and it's really interesting to see how she treats him and how she views him in her head versus how he kind of sees her, and how he feels about her, and how he um, realizes his place in their relationship that they have going on. And it's really lovely. And I think that what I really like about this one is there are characters that I don't like. However, all of the characters that come in really do play a key role in all of their um, emotions, and it all progresses the story. So her love interest, who comes in fairly close to the beginning, um, I personally don't like him, but I can't bring myself to hate him either. And I liked that about this story, is that even the characters that I wanted to dislike so badly, I couldn't. And um, I just felt like, wow, you're just not clicking. And that's how life kind of goes. Sometimes people are in relationships and they just don't click. But they can't move on because they think that this is their last chance, and so they're trying to settle for someone who they think is supposed to be the person for them, but they just can't get it to work. And it's really heartbreaking because you think, like, what if I give this person up? What if I tell them I know I can't do this? Then what? Like, what if I never end up with anybody ever, and I've just given up the person I was supposed to be with? So I'm gonna keep trying to stay with them, be, on the off chance that this is actually the person I'm supposed to be with. um if that makes any sense. I really, really love Josei series because they do a really good job at um kind of focusing on women in the workplace. They do a really good job at focusing on women who are working women trying to find relationships, because that is a difficult path to walk. And this series deals with that moment of, do I give up my career for this man? Do I continue to work and possibly lose the man? Do I give up this boy who I've grown affectionate towards for this other man? Or do I risk losing the man by telling him about Momo? Do I, like, all of these things, these very complicated, twisted scenarios are all happening over the course of this couple years that this series follows, and it's so good. It's so well done. It's really captivating. It is bizarre and interesting and real. These people are very human, and I love how Momo brings out this side of Sumire that she probably didn't even know she had within her. And the addition of the childhood friend of Sumire is wonderful because you get to see her perspective as well of how Sumire is changing and growing from the time they were kids to now with this random boy who's appeared in her life who the friend is very skeptical of because she thinks he's just sponging off of her friend, which in some ways he kind of is. And she's skeptical of him, but at the same time acknowledges that he's a good thing for her in this moment. But then at the same time is very honest with Sumire and saying, "Look, you know, this kid can't be around forever. You need to make a decision here because you're gonna give up. It's a give and a take. You can't have everything. You can't have the new husband and the boy and the job. Like you can't have it all. You have to make a decision, and either way, you're gonna end up upset. But you need to make the decision that's right for you and not the decision that's right for other people. This is your life." And so it's really, really interesting and wonderful. And I really, really love this series. And I hope that if you get a chance to pick it up and try it, that you do. And I mean, it's not for everybody. The relationship of him being her pet, is it's not borderline abusive. There's definitely parts where I'm like, ew, I wish that didn't happen. But at the same time, I understand where these people are in their lives and why they're behaving this way and why they feel they need to behave this way. And it's just a very interesting look at these people's lives and how they're handling these situations. And I I've read a lot worse in terms of abusive relationships. So this to me wasn't that big a deal. Um I'm really glad that I read it. And the art is um I love Josei art. I really, really do. Uh it's just I'll try and find some in one of these other volumes here. Um it's just really kind of wispy and wonderful, and then the middle chapters are always quite like fashionable and um, great. But it's so simple but so pleasant, and it really does remind me of Supply, which is a series I've also done, another Josei series I've done a video on. Um, it's very much about women in the workplace and romance as a, you know, almost 30-year-old, which in Japan is like, why aren't you married yet? She also is from a very well established family who does not approve of how she's living her life. Um, they're very much like, you should be married already. Why are you wasting your time at some newspaper? But it's so refreshing to see this woman who genuinely likes her job and is proud of her accomplishments and is really like, she works so hard and is trying so hard to make connections with people but just is missing the mark. And it's very real and very it's just it's a relatable story. And then you add on the part of her having a 20-year-old pet, male human pet, which makes it bizarre, and gives that little punch of comedy and strangeness. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I hope that you pick this up and read it. If you have any questions about it, please let me know. If you've read it, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about this series. Honestly, it's got its issues, but every series does, and I don't hold the issues against it at all. I will reread this many times in the future and enjoy it probably every time I read it. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully, you check this one out. See ya.